thank you very much for doing this.
My pleasure.
My pleasure is all mine, actually. And I was thinking too, in the last year, you have, as you said, your new amplifier is out, your signature amplifier.
Yes.
You're doing Fishman tours.
Mm-hmm.
You have a new-ish book, the Brave New Blues Guitar.
Correct, yep.
An video book.
That's right.
And also, and to me probably most importantly, is the trio you have, the Koch Marshall Trio.
Correct, yes.
With Toby Lee Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
And your son on drums.
That's correct, yes.
And how was it doing a tour with your son? You have played with him before, but probably the first time as a featured band member.
Well, yeah. I mean, we did a tour right after he got out of high school. He had played in a record I did called Plays Well With Others, and he did that tour that we did in the fall of that year. And he had fun, but, what was weird about that tour is that other than himself, I mean, I was the closest one in age to him, other than so all these other guys were older, so it was a little weird, for him, I think. So that's when he decided that he wanted to go to school, after that, and so on and so forth. So this, I mean, he's got a lot of ownership in this because he's the one who knew Toby, playing gigs with Toby up in Minneapolis. And then he brought Toby down, arranged the first jam that we did, and kind of insisted, Dad, you got to hear this guy. So he had a lot of ownership in the whole thing. So I think that as a result of that, it's he's feeling really good about it. And the tour was very well received. People really liked the band, and it was a good time.
That's true. And you were all over the world for that tour, right?
We were in quite a few different places. We started in Italy, did some stuff in Germany. We were in Lithuania. We were in Greece, back to Germany, and then the Netherlands, and then back to Germany again.
Was any of that new territory for you?
I had been to Lithuania before, but I think we only did one gig there. So this was, we did 3 different gigs up there, so that was a lot of fun. And I had never really, I'd been to Greece before too, but never with my band. Always, I had gone and played with Greek musicians there before, but this is the first time I brought a band in, so.
That's good. And you're planning on continuing more recording with the Koch Marshall?
Yes, well, that deal that we signed with the Mascot label group, they have this new label under their umbrella called the Players Club, which is more of an instrumental label, and that's what we're on. So we're supposed to do 4 records. So, 3 studio records and a live record. So we've got enough material to pop another one out right away. But the real goal is that, one of the main reasons why I signed with them is because, they've got a lot of ability to push an artist if they're so inclined. And they are supposed to hook us up with some representation, especially in the States, to book the band, because that's really the hardest thing, is getting an agent to book the band. So that's kind of the primary goal at this point, is to be able to get the band out and about and get up here and everywhere else and just play.
That's perfect.
Yes.
You mentioned as well you have an acoustic album in the works.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that? Anything you want to?
Well, I'm going to try to get that out before Christmas. It might be a little difficult, but I'm going to see what I can do. Although it's starting to get late already, isn't it? I'm just going to put this one out on my own. I mean, I know that if I put the word out on social media and my website that I've got this new record out, and there's going to be plenty of people that'll buy it, and then we'll throw it up on CD Baby and a couple of other different places will start distributing it for me. So. I'm probably going to do that. So if it doesn't get out by Christmas, it'll be out the first part of next year. And some of it's just solo guitar. Some of it is I've layered some stuff, but it's all acoustic guitar.
Now you mentioned social media, and you probably have a greater social media presence than most guitar-oriented musicians.
Well, it's there are, especially younger guys. There are some younger guys that are a lot more prolific. In terms of content, and they've really got the algorithms down of when to do it and all that other kind of stuff. I just kind of do it whenever I feel like it, in terms of live things and so on and so forth. It's just, I mean, as a musician, obviously I need to do it to help promote, make people aware of where I'm at and where I'm going and what I'm putting out and so on and so forth. But I just try to make it fun. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not real, it's pretty off the cuff.
It's very off the cuff, and I think that's what makes it work, and all of the content from the Orange Room.
Yes.
It's proven. Something I've always felt about you is that you are as entertaining whether you're playing guitar or talking.
Ah, well, thank you.
Growing up, both of my parents were English majors.
Oh, okay.
And one of my father's favorite quotes was about Winston Churchill, that he armed the English language and took it to war.
Yeah.
And you would give him a run for his money.
Well, arguably, I invent words that, that are, I destroy the English language as much as I use it. But thank you. I do try to, my dad was an attorney and always had a really good vocabulary. And then I got exposed to Frank Zappa at a very early age. So I always just really enjoyed colorful vocabulary.
That's it. It's musicians talk about the choice of a note, the choice of a word. You can say something. I have a friend whose way of approving any kind of sound is to say it's chocolatey yet robust.
Oh, bless him. Speaking of that, was one of my favorite experiences was a couple of years ago, we got invited, Larry Fishman got invited to go out to Apple and speak in their little auditorium that they have there. And they do this lunch program where they have someone from another industry to come in and speak about what they do in an effort to inspire the designers and the employees of Apple and so on and so forth. So they invited Larry to come and speak, and then somehow my name got thrown in the mix and I was going to be there too. So we went out there, and as we're, this group of people, Larry and myself and some other people, we're going to meet the individual that's supposed to be taking us into Apple, and this guy comes out the door and he looks at us, he looks at me, he goes, "Shell pink is a bold tone hue." So apparently he and some of these other Apple guys and designers and stuff were Wildwood aficionados, so that was quite gratifying.
Right. I actually did just read yesterday that apparently you have done over 4,000 videos for Wildwood Guitars.
Yeah, it may be more than that.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot.
And they're also equally entertaining and informative.
Oh, well, thank you.
Also, I was going to talk about your book, the Blues.
The Brave New Blues. Yes.
Guitar.
Yes. Well, I've been doing stuff for Hal Leonard going back to probably 2000, 2001, when I helped them rewrite the original Hal Leonard guitar method. And then I did a blues book for them and a country book and a thing called Rhythm Riffs and Lead Licks, and then I did some DVDs for them. And I've just been building content over the years, and I had this idea for a book because I like to kind of, I don't know if it's impersonate. When I really get into a guitar player, I try to, my influences, I try to inhabit their vocabulary and kind of, so when I play, I'm not just regurgitating licks. I try to get in their shoes, kind of ish. You know what I mean? And so over the years, I've assembled a list of people that I can function in that regard. Or in regard to. So I thought it would be fun to take an idea of this book, and I would do sample improvisations in the style of these various people. And then I thought it would be fun to do amalgams of saying, okay, now let's take two of these styles and put them in the same brain, and what would that sound like? Okay. And that's what the book is predicated on. So I might do, Albert King and Albert Collins together. Or on the other side of it is like Jimmy Page and Johnny Winter. You know what I mean? And so I do each individual separate, and I kind of do a sample improvisation and a lesson. There's like 3 hours of video footage that go along with the book, where I'll play and show like the nuanced styles and techniques of these individuals, or at least what I'm doing in regard to what they did, and then do these amalgam things that are kind of fun. So it's kind of fun. It turned out well, I think, and it's fun to get it finally out because it took a while to get it out. All the stuff had to be transcribed, and of course the video footage disseminated and all that other kind of stuff.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, thank you.
Also, as I saw downstairs, you have your signature amplifier with you.
That's correct. Yes.
And that was a long time in the works too, wasn't it?
That was. I mean, it's kind of a funny thing. Obviously, Koch Amplifier is the same last name as myself, and I had known about them for many years. And I played a couple of their amps at various different places, and I liked them quite a bit. But of course, me doing the thing for Fender for many years, it didn't really make sense to kind of make any overtures of saying, hey, it would be kind of fun if we worked together. But I think probably about 5 years ago, I was at Music Messe in Germany, at Frankfurt, for Fishman. And I was setting up, getting ready to go, and literally right across the aisle was the Koch amplifier. There, and Dolph Koch and his wife came up to me and said, oh, we're big fans. We got your CDs, yada, yada, yada. I said, well, that's funny because I've seen your amps over the years. I've played a couple and I really liked them. Wouldn't it be fun if we worked together? They're like, oh my God, that'd be great. So for that show, I ended up using one of their Twin Tone 3 amps, and I really, really liked it. And they sent one to me at home, and I loved it, and I used it on a bunch of different things. And I said, boy, we started talking about doing maybe a signature amplifier, and I gave them a recipe of stuff. I wanted not a bunch of different things, but I wanted a 210 combo. I wanted a little bit more of a vivid reverb, like a long pan reverb with the 3 controls, the dwell, the volume, and the tone. And I really wanted harmonic vibrato. That's kind of my thing. It's like having a Univibe on board the amp. But, their clean sound is great, but I wanted the ability to kind of muddy it up a little bit with or make it overdrive a little bit more if I wanted to. And they added this OTS feature, which is called output tube saturation. So it's got a 1/2 watt power amp tube that you can overdrive and then add line level to either channel. And then the lead channels always sounded great. So you got the overdrive channel, there's an overdrive boost on that channel, and then I can add that OTS to that channel as well. So there's literally like 1, 2, 3, there's like 5 gain stages. And it's fabulous.
Right. Also fabulous are the reason you're here. We're at Long and McQuaid in Orleans right now.
That's right.
To do a Fishman pickup, the
Fluence pickups, yes.
Fluence tone pickups. And I can attest, I do have a set of those in a Telecaster.
Yes.
And I've done gigs with an amplifier, a guitar, and a cable.
Right.
And managed to cover a lot of different styles.
Yes.
So anything you'd like to add about those?
Well, it was kind of one of these things where, as I was approached by, initially when I was approached about the pickups, it was my buddy Richie Fligler, and he's like, hey, I'm working with Larry Fishman on these pickups, and I was like, hey, obviously Richie I've known forever, and I always had respect for Larry Fishman, but I was like, electric guitar pickups, what? And then when he described what they did, it was actually, I was like, well, this could be exactly what I've always wanted. And then we voiced the pickups. I was very excited about them, but then I still was on pins and needles when I actually got them. You know what I mean? After we had done all the, sussed them out and so on and so forth, you wanted to get them and make sure that they were, okay, I wasn't crazy. These do sound good. And they just sound unbelievable. I mean, I really, really love them. And so they'll actually be on this new Reverend guitar that I've got a signature Reverend guitar coming out in January, which would be a lot of fun because it'll be an affordable guitar. It's got some unique stuff about it that will make it, kind of a fun variance on a T-style, guitar. And it'll have these pickups on it so people can buy a guitar with them already in it. Initially when these pickups came out, I mean, Fishman has a long and good relationship with Fender. All those Fender acoustic guitars that they're making a big push on, they all are featuring Fishman pickups, and so it's not like there isn't a relationship there. And Lord knows I had done stuff for Fender forever, and there's still a lot of people there that I know. And I went over there, and I remember in Nashville, New Hampshire, a couple of years ago, I brought my telly over there. I was like, will you just listen to these things? And they heard them, and they're like, oh, that sounds great, but we have our own pickups. I'm like, I know. And I pitched them. I was like, this could be very easy. We could do X, Y, and Z, and do some kind of a guitar with these in it. And there just didn't seem to be any. Well, let me put it this way. In a corporation like that, there may be people that want to do it, but they're all worried about their own jobs, and no one's going to make any kind of effort above and beyond the call of duty to make it happen. Although it seemed like a no-brainer. It doesn't really seem like it takes a lot of brain power to put that together and realize that it would be successful to the point where it would be worthwhile doing. But they didn't want to do it. So that's why I sussed out a few different things, and I was actually going to do a run of guitars with Wildwood guitars and just do like custom shop versions of some guitars and pop my pickups in them. But there was some lag that it was taking forever to kind of materialize. And then I had known the people from Reverend for quite some time because they've done so much business with Wildwood, and I've done a bunch of videos with Ken at Wildwood. And then I did those videos with Ken in Toledo at the Ken and Greg show.
Yes.
And while I was out there for that, we just started talking, and we're like, well, what would a guitar, look like if we did one? And we started kind of hashing out some stuff. And then Joe Naylor made up some drawings, and I said, perfect. And I got a prototype, and I loved it. And so we're just going to go ahead and get it out there.
That's great. Did the Fluence pickups have any influence on the Koch amplifier?
They did not. Anything sounds good through that amp. Of course, now that you say that, I realized after the fact that like the only guitar I ever used through that amp, up until the point where I got one at home and played a bunch of different stuff through, were Fluence filled guitars. So all of my beta testing and all that kind of stuff I did with a Tele with my pickups on it. That being said, I've played other passive or regular analog. Well, actually the Fluence are analog, but just regular wound pickups, I should say, through the amp, and it sounds great. So it didn't have any specific bearing on it, other than the fact that that's the guitar that I probably played through it most when we were kind of voicing it, if you will.
Right. So the clinic you're doing in about an hour from now.
Yes.
You do use a Telecaster with your pickups. You also use the Fluence pickups for the Stratocaster and Les Paul.
That's correct. Yep.
And also the Martin guitar.
Yes, I am. I'll start off with the acoustic and play a Martin instrument with Fishman pickups, and play through a Fishman loud box amplifier, and probably play through a Spectrum Aura DI, and talk a little bit about that. And I show some techniques and play some tunes, and then I switch over to the electrics and talk about how the Fluence came to be, and I play got more tunes and show a few more techniques, and then I take anytime that there's people that have questions, that leads us in different directions as well. So they've been fun. They usually last a couple hours. And they're just fun to do. It's low key, and it's nice. People come out, and at this point in time, it's kind of funny. Both the two different gentlemen that were downstairs that have worked in different places that work at the store here. I remember when you were in Toledo doing a Cyber Twin tour, and then the other guys, I remember when you played, doing this. When you've been around doing this as long as I have, it's interesting. But what's fascinating is that regardless of all the Fender stuff I've done over the years, or the different record deals and magazines that I've been affiliated with, and the Hal Leonard stuff, I have to say, and I've told the guys from Wildwood this many times, is that it all pales in comparison to the amount of exposure and connection with a larger audience that I have through those videos, because it's there's no middleman. They're just out there, and as you said, in the thousands. So, people might do a search for, a specific type of guitar, and then boom. And then they start watching one video, and then they start watching a bunch of other videos, and it's weird how people get led to those videos, and then they'll get led on to my other stuff. It's been really cool. So a lot of people that come out to the clinics are, the people that watch the Wildwood videos.
Right, and as I mentioned, apart from being very informative, always very entertaining.
Oh, well, thank you.
So you were, like I said, about a bit over an hour away from the show. So
yes.
Let you get prepared for that.
Well, thank you.
Again, thank you so much for this. It was, again, illuminating and very entertaining.
Oh, well, thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Awesome. We did it.